Good day, greeting students. Welcome back to your grade 6 English class. I hope you all are safe, children. Kindly be safe and be healthy. Eat well and stay indoors till this pandemic gets over. What are we going to learn this week, children? Yes, we are going to continue our discussion on parts of speech. What is the topic for today, children? We are going to continue with parts of speech. Are you ready, children? In our previous class, we have discussed what is meant by parts of speech and we continued to discuss about nouns, pronouns, and adjectives. That's right, children. We have already discussed about three parts of speech, which are nouns, pronouns, and adjectives. Do you remember about them, children? Let's quickly recall about the meaning of nouns, pronouns, and adjectives, shall we? Let's start with nouns. What are nouns? A noun is a naming word. It is the name of a person, place, animal, thing, or an idea. What is a noun, children? A noun is a naming word. It is the name of a person, place, animal, thing, or idea. What are the examples we have here? Daniel, London, table, and hope. Hope here denotes an idea which is also a noun. I hope you have come across lots of noun in the previous week when I asked you to play the game name, place, animal, things. So children, do you have a lot of nouns in your hand now? Can you build up your vocabulary with that? The next part of speech that we have discussed is pronoun. A pronoun is a word that is used in place of a noun or a noun phrase to avoid repetition. For what, children? To avoid repeating the noun, we use some other word which is called a pronoun. Do you remember the 7 popular pronouns we came across? Yes, I, you, we, they, he, she, and it. I'm sure you have completed your 10 sentences about mother, and I'm sure that you have replaced the word mother with the pronoun she. Am I right, children? So, what is the second part of speech we have discussed? It is pronoun. The next part of speech that we have discussed is adjective. What is an adjective, children? An adjective is a describing word. What does it describe? It describes a noun or a pronoun. What does it describe, children? It describes a noun or a pronoun. It tells something more about a noun or a pronoun. In our previous class, we have added 3 new words to our vocabulary, out of which one is an adjective. Which one is that, children? It is the word scrumptious. Yes, scrumptious is an adjective which means tasty or delicious. What is the word, children? It is scrumptious. It is an adjective and it means delicious or tasty. I hope you have used that word in your sentences in the previous week and I want you to continue using the words we learn in our English class. What are the other 2 words we had in our previous class, children? Yes, It is bingo and bullseye. Bingo is an interjection we use when we get things right, and bullseye is the midpoint of a target. I hope this week you get more words to add to your vocabulary. What are we going to learn this week? This week we are going to learn about verbs, adverbs, and prepositions. These are the next three parts of speech that we are going to discuss about. So, what are the three parts of speech we are going to talk about today, children? We are going to talk about verbs, adverbs, and prepositions. Are you ready, children? Already we have completed nouns, pronouns, and adjectives. At the end of this video class, we will be able to complete verbs, adverbs, and prepositions. That means you would have learned 6 parts of speech by the end of this week. Let's start with verb. What is a verb? A verb is an action word. A verb tells what action someone or something is doing or expresses a state of being. That is, a verb is an action word which tells about the action performed by someone or something. For example, I am reading. What is the action I am performing, children? Reading. So that is the verb in this sentence. But first of all, are these group of words a sentence? Let's verify. It starts with a capital letter, ends with a punctuation, and yes, of course, it makes sense. So we can call it a sentence. Now, let us understand about a verb. In this sentence, I am reading. The action word is reading. Who is reading? I am reading. So the word I is a pronoun. What is it, children? I is a pronoun. We move on to the word reading, which talks about the action that is being done by the pronoun I. So, which is the action word, children? Reading, and hence it is called a verb. Now we move on to the word am. What is this word am doing here? Without the word am, the sentence doesn't make sense. Yes, just read the sentence without the word am. I reading. Does it make sense, children? No, it doesn't. So, what is am? It explains the state of being of a noun or a pronoun. Hence, it is also called a verb. Isn't it, children? A verb is an action word. It tells about the action performed by a noun or a pronoun, and also it explains their state of being. How can there be two verbs? Can there be? Yes, there are two verbs which are action words. Those are called as main verbs. What are those action words called, children? Those are called main verbs. Now the words like am, which helps you to complete the sentence, is called an auxiliary verb. A new word for your vocabulary, children. The word auxiliary means additional. So, these auxiliary verbs are also called helping verbs or additional verbs. What is the work of these auxiliary verbs? These auxiliary verbs help us to complete a sentence. So, a sentence has to be meaningful, isn't it? So, these additional verbs or helping verbs help us to make the sentence meaningful. So, what are these children? These are auxiliary verbs or additional verbs or helping verbs which help us to bring meaning to a sentence. What are verbs, children? Verbs are action words or a state of being. The action words tell about the actions performed by a noun or a pronoun. Verbs can be main verb or auxiliary verbs. What are the two verbs, children? Main verb and auxiliary verb. The main verbs in a sentence will be the action words, whereas the auxiliary verbs will be the helping verbs which come along with the main verb to help us complete the sentence. In our example, I am reading. Reading is the main verb, whereas the word am is the auxiliary verb. Another example, she is watching TV. Watching is the main verb, whereas is the auxiliary verb. What are main verbs and what are auxiliary verbs, children? Main verbs are the action words, whereas auxiliary verbs are the helping verbs. Now let us have some examples of main verbs and auxiliary verbs. Main verbs can be come, go, sit, stand, eat, and so on. Any sort of actions. Whereas here is a list of the auxiliary verbs. Am, is, are, was, were, being, been, be, has, have, had, did, shall, will, would, should, may, might, must, can, could, does, do, need, ought to, dare, going to, be able to, have to, had better. Some of these auxiliary verbs are used with present tense, some of them are used with past tense, and some of them are used with future tense. And these auxiliary verbs at times serves to be the main verb too. In the sentence, I am a teacher, the verb am, the auxiliary verb am, poses to be the main verb also because there is no other action word. Whereas in sentences like I am going to sing, we have more than one auxiliary verb. Can you identify, children, from the list? Yes, am is an auxiliary verb. Also, going to is an auxiliary verb. Going to is used in future tense. When I say I am going to sing, going to is equal to will. So that means I will sing. Are you clear with auxiliary verbs, children? The word you're going to write in your vocabulary page is auxiliary, which means additional. Let's see some more examples for verbs. In these sentences, we will identify main verbs and auxiliary verbs. Children, kindly make note of all these examples in your notebook and at the end, try to frame your own sentences also. So, children, are you ready to get into these examples? The first example we have here is the baby crawls towards her mother. What is the sentence, children? The baby crawls towards her mother. Which is the noun here? We have two nouns, the baby and mother. Here, the subject is the baby. So, what is the action performed by the baby? The baby crawls. So, which is the verb here, children? The verb is crawls. Crawls is a main verb since it is an action word. Does this sentence have a pronoun? Yes, the sentence has a pronoun which is her. Alright. Does this sentence have an auxiliary verb? You're right. The sentence doesn't have an auxiliary verb. It directly goes with the main verb. And which is the main verb, children? The word crawls here is the main verb and the only verb here. A new word to be added in your vocabulary is crawl. The word crawl. C-R-A-W-L. Crawl. What is the meaning of the word, children? The word crawl means moving with hands and knees close to floor. I repeat, the word crawl means moving with hands and knees close to floor. In the previous sentence, the baby crawls towards her mother. Which is the verb, children? The verb, action word here is crawl. C-R-A-W-L. What is the meaning of the word, children? The word crawl means moving with hands and knees close to floor. And here is a beautiful image where a baby is seen to be crawling. This is the meaning of the word crawl. Moving with hands and knees close to the floor. So if we have babies at home, we will see them crawling a lot before they learn to walk. So what is the new word that you want to add in your vocabulary, children? It is crawl. And what is its spelling? C-R-A-W-L. In the sentence, the baby crawls towards her mother. The word crawl is the verb and it is a main verb. The next sentence we have is she is my best friend. So, is there an action word here? Before we have to identify the action word, let us identify the subject, a noun or a pronoun. Here we have she, which is the subject and it is a pronoun. So, is there an action done by she, children? No. So there is a state of being for the pronoun she, which is. So the word is the verb here, and even though it is an auxiliary verb, in this sentence it serves to be the main verb also. So which is the verb in this sentence, children? Is the verb in this sentence. She is my best friend. The next example we have here is he is listening to music. What is the sentence, children? He is listening to music. Here the subject is he, which is a pronoun, and we have an action which is listening to, as well as we have an auxiliary verb which is is. Is an auxiliary verb used for present tense and for singular nouns or pronouns. So is an auxiliary verb in this sentence, and the word listening to is the main verb in this sentence. Yes, children, the word listening will always be used with to in any sentences it is used with. In this sentence, he is listening to music. The main verb is listening to and the auxiliary verb is. When we are talking about the verb listening, let us also go through about another verb which is hearing. There are two different words, hearing and listening. What is the difference between these words? Is there any difference between these words? Yes. Hearing is mentioned for some sort of sound. Did you hear the bell? So, bell is just a sound. That is where you use the verb hearing. Whereas listening is paying attention to a sound and observing it. I love to listen to songs. So I love to listen to songs. Listening becomes a verb when you observe, understand, and get involved with the sound or music. Whereas hearing is just a noise or a sound where you do not pay much of attention. The next example we have here is do you like chocolates? It's an interrogative sentence which means a question, isn't it, children? And what is the question we have here? Do you like chocolates? So, in questions, how do we understand or how do we identify a verb? First of all, let us look for a noun. Do we have a noun? Yes, chocolates is a noun. Do we have a pronoun? Yes, you is a pronoun. And now we have two words left, do and like. What is like? Like is an action word which becomes the main verb. And what happens to do here? We already know that do is an auxiliary verb. So in this question, we have two verbs, one auxiliary verb and one main verb. Which is the main verb, children? Yes, like is the main verb and do is the auxiliary verb in the question. Do you like chocolates? So let us quickly recall what is a verb. A verb shows an action or a state of being. What is verb? Verb shows an action or a state of being. We have discussed about two different verbs. One is the main verb and another one is the auxiliary verb. Main verb means the action words, whereas auxiliary verbs mean the helping verbs or additional verbs which explain the state of being, and these auxiliary verbs help us to complete a sentence. That is, To make it meaningful, we need an auxiliary verb to complete our sentence. I hope you all are clear with verbs, children. Now it's time for us to play a game. Yes, just like we had a game attached to noun, we have a game attached to verb, which is going to be dumb charade. What are we going to do in this game? We are going to do some actions. That is, we are going to act out sentences. You can play it along with your family or friends. I will give you some sentences to start with. With the help of these sentences, try to act out each word, and you have to make your partner or your family to identify the word and eventually the sentence. Are you ready, children? Your first sentence is going to be I am going to buy a car. I am going to buy a car. Your second sentence is they are fighting with each other. They are fighting with each other. Third sentence is it is raining cats and dogs. What is the third sentence, children? It is raining cats and dogs. Does it mean that cats and dogs are falling from the sky? No. Cats and dogs is an idiom which means heavily. When we say it is raining cats and dogs, we mean to say that it is raining heavily. What does it mean, children? It is raining heavily. So now that you have got three sentences, let's start your game after this class and let's see how you prosper in your acting. Let us now move on to the next part of speech, adverb. What is the work of adverb? Adverb modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. It tells how often, where, and when an action is performed. Just like how an adjective tells more about a noun or a pronoun, an adverb tells you more about a verb. That is, it adds something to the verb. So it tells you how often an action is done, or where an action is done, or when an action is done. Slowly, very, always, well, to, or some examples of adverb. The sentence, yesterday I ate my lunch quickly, gives us two adverbs. What are those two? The word yesterday is an adverb, which means when did it happen? It happened yesterday. So, yesterday is an adverb. What is the other adverb in the sentence, children? The word quickly is the other adverb in the sentence. What does quickly tell you? The word quickly tells you how the action is done. That is, how did I eat my lunch? I ate my lunch quickly. So, the word that tells you more about a verb, an adjective, or another adverb is called as an adverb. How can it tell more about an adverb? I write very neatly. So the word very tells more about the adverb neatly. So an adverb can modify or tell more about an adverb too. So this sentence carries two adverbs. One is neatly and another one is very. Even without the word very, the sentence will make sense. I write neatly. So how do I write? I write neatly. To emphasize my adverb neatly, I use another adverb which is very, very neatly. So what is my sentence? I write very neatly. The second sentence we have here is I am scared to travel with my brother because he drives fast. What is the sentence, children? I'm scared to travel with my brother because he drives fast. So here we have two sentences which is joined by a conjunction which is because. Before we move on to discuss about conjunctions, let us see the second sentence. He drives fast. Drives is the verb here. Yes, it is the action and hence it is the verb. So, how does he drive? He drives fast. I want you to be clear about this, children. There is no word called fastly. You can never say he drives fastly. It is only fast. Fast is an adjective as well as an adverb as well as a verb. In this sentence, it plays the role of an adverb and fast never ends with ly. It is always he drives fast. The train runs fast. And never add ly to your adverb fast. It is always only fast and not fastly. So you cannot say eat fastly. It is only eat fast. Are you clear with the children? I am scared to travel with my brother because he drives fast. And which is the adverb? Fast is the adverb here. A new addition to your vocabulary which is scared. It is a verb which means afraid. What is the meaning of the word scared, children? The word scared means afraid. When you're afraid of doing something, we say, I am scared. I am scared of darkness. I am scared of traveling with my brother because he drives fast. I hope you're clear with adverbs, children. What is an adverb? An adverb describes a verb, adjective, or an adverb. It tells how often, when, where, or to what extent a verb, an action is done. Clear, children? An adverb describes a verb, an adjective, or an adverb itself. It tells how much, when, where, or to what extent a particular action is performed or to what extent the adverb can be emphasized. I hope you're clear with this part of speech. Let us now move on to the next part of speech, which is going to be preposition. What is it, children? Preposition. It shows the relationship of a noun or a pronoun to another word. What is the work of a preposition, children? A preposition shows the relationship of a noun or pronoun to another word. Simply, it says the position of a noun or pronoun in relation with the other words given in a sentences. What are some of the examples of prepositions? At, on, in, from, with, about, and so on. Here is a sentence for you. I left my keys on the table for you. In this sentence, I is the pronoun and table is a noun. Keys are also a noun. You is a pronoun. So now we'll take the first half of the sentence. I left my keys on the table. So where did I leave the keys? On the table. The keys and table. Two different nouns are here. And what is the relationship? On the table. Where are the keys? They are on the table. So on is a preposition and it is on the table for whom? For you. So for is a preposition that tells the relationship between table and you. Let's take two sentences with similar meaning but they are entirely different with the use of two different prepositions. The first sentence, he reached the class in time. Which is the preposition, children? In time. Very good. The word in is the preposition. The second sentence is going to be, he reached the class on time. Which is the preposition in this sentence, children? Yes, it is on. On time. Is there a difference between these two sentences? Yes, there is a vast difference between these two sentences. When we say he reached the class in time, it means within time. So if the bell is going to ring by 9:30, if he reaches well in advance, somewhere before 9:25, we can say that he reached the class in time. Whereas if he is going to reach the class exactly by 9:30, just before the bell is about to ring, then we have to say he reached the class on time. So when your teachers ask for note submissions, it will be really good if you could do the submission in time rather than on time. In time means what, children? When you could do the submission well in advance before the given time period. Whereas on time is when you submit exactly on the time given for you. There are different kinds of preposition, out of which three prepositions play a big role. Prepositions of time, prepositions of place, prepositions of direction or motion. So what are the three different types of preposition, children? Prepositions of time, prepositions of place and prepositions of direction. Let's discuss a little bit more about these types of prepositions. What are time prepositions? Time prepositions are those such as before, after, during, and until. That is, these tell about the time. So we can say that I was watching TV until 4 o'clock. When you want to mention the time, you can use these time prepositions. Place prepositions are those indicating position, such as around, between, and against. So when do we use between? We use between when we want to say that our noun or pronoun is between two things. I am sitting between my father and mother. Only two people. Whereas among, a preposition among is used to mean more than two people. I am happy among my friends. I am happy among my friends. That means more than two people. So these are time prepositions and place prepositions. The third type of prepositions is direction prepositions. Prepositions of direction. These are those indicative of direction, such as across, up, and down. These tell us direction. When someone asks you for a direction, you tell your directions using these prepositions. Turn to your left. It is opposite the bank. Likewise. And where is the cat? The cat is on the tree. Or the dog is near its kennel. What is a kennel, children? A kennel is a dog's home. What is a kennel, children? A kennel is a home of a dog. And what is the spelling of kennel? Kennel. Are you clear with prepositions, children? Let us quickly recall the parts of speech. How many parts of speech do we have, children? We have 9 parts of speech, namely nouns, pronouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, conjunctions, articles, and interjections. Out of these, we have completed nouns, pronouns, adjectives, verbs, adverbs, and prepositions. If at all you have any doubt in these topics, please feel free to reach your class teachers and through them reach me over phone so that you can get your doubts clarified, children. Please do not keep your doubts to yourself and make sure you complete your classwork and your worksheets that I am sending you. Please keep in touch with your subject and language too. Practice speaking English, and these games that I have given you will definitely help you to improve your language. So play them wisely, children. What are the new words we learned today, children? Crawl, scared, and kennel. What is the meaning of crawl, children? Moving with hands and knees close to the floor. What is the meaning of scared, children? Scared means afraid. What is the meaning of kennel, children? A dog's home. One more idiom that we learned today is cats and dogs. When we say it rains cats and dogs, we mean to say that it rains heavily. So when do you use this idiom, children? When it rains heavily, we say it rains cats and dogs. I hope you will add this to your vocabulary, children. Make sure you use all these words in your day-to-day sentences so that it becomes a part of your language itself, children. So that brings us to the end of the class. Thank you so much for listening to me, children. I hope you have completed your classwork for the previous week. Please continue from there. Please do not keep any pending works. Finish your classworks and worksheets in time. And if at all you have any doubt, please reach me through your class teacher and get your doubts clarified. Thank you and have a marvelous Monday, my dear children. Please stay safe, stay home, and stay safe. Stay protected from this pandemic situation. With all our prayers together, we will definitely come across this situation, and I hope we all will soon be back to normal and meet in our school, children. Thank you. Have a marvelous Monday.